Chronic exhaustion is not a badge of honor. It's a boundary. It's being violated.
Look, every spark does not demand a 5-alarm response. Living clenched, that metaphor feels so appropriate for trying to deal with what we're dealing with and feeling exhausted in the process.
That tiredness, that heaviness is your body telling the truth that something needs to change. Welcome back to Unapologetic Rabble-Rousers. I'm DocShellie.
And I'm Carla Lewis. So here's something to ponder. I don't know, and maybe it's the time of year, I'm not sure, but there's a whole lot of tired going on. And while I would love to blame it on the weather, just because in this particular case, it's gray, dark. Did I mention cold? But the fact is that there's a whole lot of talk about people just feeling kind of drained. And so today, I would like that we could take a look at the fact that being tired isn't really the problem. It really is what's draining you. So you think about that your body's giving yourself, you think about your body is giving a message. It's delivering a very important message. And it's coming across as you're just feeling drained. You're feeling tired. The exhaustion becomes the norm. And it's like, you know what? Is that really just in my head? Is it really just in my body? What is going on that we have such tiredness going right now?
What is going on?
What is going on, Michelle?
I think there's a whole lot of crazy going on in the world right now. But outside of that, I think we're in an interesting time where emotional, what do I want to call it? Like emotional leakage. Like people don't know how to manage their emotions. We see it all over the place. People have no patience for anyone else. There's all sorts of road rage incidents happening. There's just, people are unhinged these days. And some of it, I wonder if it isn't from just not being able to manage emotions, can't deal with burnout. People are tired because they're holding on to so much. I think there's a lot going on that we are trying to manage that we don't do a great job of managing, because that fatigue or that exhaustion isn't always a physical thing. It's also all the stuff we carry.
I think the fact that there is so much that's going on and not a lot of opportunity to really process it. And by process it, I mean, it's one thing to be able, let's just talk about the news. It's one thing to sit and consume the news and be assaulted from ugliness from across the world. And I admit that the news just comes across to me as being really ugly lately. And so if I just use myself as an example there, it's like, how do you talk about that? And I am a feeling human being, okay? And the fact that there are so many crazy things going on across the globe that are just hurtful and painful and frustrating, and I'm going to make up a word, angerifying.
Angerifying.
Why not? Why not? But to your point is that we're holding on to a lot. That stuff, you feel that, and it doesn't just stop there. Our bodies are responding to that, and I think there is a physical toll that comes from what you were just asking about how do we handle with all of the emotion, with all of the stuff that we're just carrying all by ourselves. Our body is paying the price. And so you can't help but be tired.
I think what you're saying very much describes that concept of emotional leakage.
Okay.
Or like I think it leaks out by people acting stupid, doing stupid things.
Yeah.
Because they don't know how to manage it. But we also, when we see, I don't watch the news for the exact reasons that you just described of there's too much going on. I don't need to add to my emotional baggage. I don't need to add to anything else that is already weighing me. I got enough going on. But I think we get tired because we hold on to some of that stuff, and then it starts to leak out in different ways. It can leak out. We see people snapping over nothing.
Yeah.
We see sarcasm that all of a sudden becomes very sharp and biting instead of funny. Avoidance, forgetting things, the eye rolls. I see a lot of eye rolls. And then those keyboard warriors where they just spew stuff out at people that they probably would never actually say in real life to your face. And so we think about that over-explaining, the over-accommodating, the over-analyzing, and all of that creates this heavy, exhausted burnout feeling. The thing is, rest will not fix the burnout if it is surrounded by this emotional leakage. If the cause is emotional leakage,
Okay.
if the problem is emotional leakage, rest isn't going to do it.
No. And it's interesting because when you consider that whole leakage, that there's stuff coming out, oozing out. And at the same time, we can be trapped on the inside, working very hard at trying to maintain, working really diligently at making sure that we're not, well, I know, like you said, there are some people who don't give a crap and they're just going to come out guns blazing, whether they thought about what they're saying or doing or not. But I'm going to suggest that our crew, our unapologetic rabble-rousers, they care deeply about things. And that the notion of leakage, I think of a tire that's got that slow leak. You think about a water pipe that gets a pinhole. There's damage that happens it's almost silent. It can be invisible. But the fact that it might be invisible does not make it any less, and actually makes it even more harmful because you don't know that it's happening. And if we're sitting there, we're holding strong, we're trying to be ready just to be able to be strong before we even need to be strong. It's like living clenched. Think about it. Think about it. Living clenched. That particular metaphor just feels so appropriate for just trying to deal with what we're dealing with and feeling exhausted in the process.
Yeah, I think what's coming to mind for me is that invisible labor is still labor, right? So we're prepping for something, to your point, that may or may not happen. We're anticipating things that may or may not happen. We're putting ourselves through emotional gymnastics so that we can stay safe, stay liked, stay seen, stay whatever it is we need to stay. And people don't see the cost of what you carry quietly. Sometimes they don't even recognize the cost of what they're carrying quietly.
Would say that's
Hence,
probably most
the
of the
emotional
time.
leakage. Yeah. But I think it's important to recognize that it's your body, like that tiredness, that heaviness is your body telling the truth that something needs to change. Something needs to give way. There needs to be, I don't know, some sort of outlet, and a healthy way.
And I would just like to add into that the recognizing, and we've talked about this a lot, is being able to recognize what it is that's going on, to honor that whether or not I understand why, I can at least acknowledge that something is going on. That means that my body is somehow responding. That is a signal. I may not be able to interpret it, but I need to recognize it as something that has a message for me. And it may be behind some of this, what we've been talking about is tiredness and just living clenched, that it's a signal.
Mm-hmm.
And how many times have you said your body keeps score? I know there's a book, and I'm going to read that book. I just can't wait to read that book. But your body knows, and we try to rationalize things away and such, but if we honor the fact that something's going on, I can ignore the signal, but it's not going to stop what's going on by ignoring it.
When I think because they're tired, they're also thinking they just need more sleep.
Yeah.
Which that doesn't fix the problem. So we've got to be really in tune with, where is the exhaustion? Is it because you're not getting enough sleep? Is it truly physical? Or is it because of all the other stuff that is going on that are maybe violating boundaries, that are maybe infiltrating your life in ways that you don't need, you don't intend? Chronic exhaustion is not a badge of honor. It's a boundary. It's being violated that needs some reinforcement.
Wow. So you think about that. Exhaustion is a boundary. Exhaustion is the result of a boundary being violated. And one of the things that I would like to bring back onto the table from some of the boundary work we've done in past episodes is that boundary isn't just about keeping stuff out. It's keeping you safe.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's a boundary being violated, what's going on? If I love that notion that if I can look at what's going, I'm holding all this stuff in, and I am not letting it out where it needs to get out. It's going to find a way out one way or the other. How many times in that where somebody just lashes out, makes absolutely no sense? There's this explosion over something that should have been like a burp. I don't know why burp came up. The point being, it's overblown. And so that boundary, the exhaustion we're talking about being a boundary that's been violated. Wow. That's a great first place to look.
Yeah, and I mean, like that, what you just described is all that emotional leakage, the overreacting, the blowing up, the instead of a burp, the snapping over things that don't really mean anything, that passive aggressive approach. All of that is that emotional leakage. Mm-hmm. So when you recognize that you are potentially acting out of character, it's something to take a look at. Where are you not naming your emotions, and where are they getting away from you? Something to do a little self-reflection and journaling on.
Oh, not journaling. Really?
Not that. I haven't mentioned that in like 4 episodes.
Oh, no, 4 minutes. I'm thinking, because it's so incredibly valuable and poignant, especially as we're talking about this. If you're holding stuff in, if you're living clenched, if you've got a boundary that's being violated and you don't have a way to manage that energy that's getting built up and is going to cause a leak somehow, somewhere. So I think being able to have an outlet like a journaling habit it's just incredible. It's become more and more important to me as we've done the work we're doing together here on the podcast. Because so often it's like, oh my gosh, yeah, imagine if I spent a little time just reflecting on why I just blew up, or why I'm exhausted, what boundary might I not be honoring, either
Yeah.
coming in or going out. So being able to take a look then at this notion of tired, what are some things that we can be doing? What are some things we can look at to help start reining in the definition of whatever it is that's got us living clenched, springing leaks, feeling exhausted?
I think you need to kind of look at what brings you joy, what is draining you, what are the things that help sustain you, who are the people, like the allies that you have versus the people the energy suckers that you have. What are the things that amplify who you are and what you do versus what are the things that are taking away from that? I think that can help manage some of that emotional burden and labor that people have. And I think it's also important to give yourself some grace. You're overextended. You're not lazy. Mm-hmm. And recognize that just because something wants your energy doesn't mean they get it. And you have control over that.
I have when I'm working with my clients, I tell them, look, every spark does not demand a 5-alarm response. So you get a little bit of a flash of something does not mean that you need to put everything toward it. So when you say not everything that asks for your energy deserves it, there's a waiting, as in judgment.
So journaling is a great thing to do. So we gave you some ideas on prompts and some things to think about, some self-reflection to go through. Also recognize that rest is not going to fix the heaviness if you're just keeping all your emotions in. It's not about physical rest. It's about managing that emotional release that needs to happen so that it doesn't leak out in most inopportune times, so that you don't end up being a victim of rage, your own rage or someone else's because you've triggered someone or whatever. But just really think about how you can do a self-assessment and understand where that emotional leakage might be happening for you.
I think being able to and I'm going to go back to my living clenched thing. There are parts of us that are tight, and being able to recognize that it takes energy to keep things tight like that, to keep things in like that. So you cannot rest if you can't relax around those points. And I think that's part of what you're leading us to, is being able to find that way. Because how can you rest if you're not relaxed, emotionally or otherwise?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it goes beyond that relaxation too, because I could meditate and get myself into a state of relaxation. I have addressed nothing of what might be that emotional burden that I'm carrying, the weight of the world that I'm carrying. So I think recognizing that there's tension and having healthy ways of releasing it so that you can rest. Also recognize that rest isn't going to cure what's going on. What's coming to mind for me is if it drains your soul, it's not worth your energy. If it's sucking the life out of you, don't give it your time. Don't give it your focus. Don't give it your energy. Find a different way to manage those things, to have the outlet, to not let it be a drainer in your life. Surround yourself with people and things that help amplify who you are and what you are instead of draining who you are and what you could be.
Well, there you have it. With that, I'm Carla Lewis.
I'm DocShellie. We will see you next time. Surround yourself with people and things that help amplify who you are and what you are instead of draining who you are and what you could be.